Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Terry's Move. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And you know, I've been slowly but surely playing catch up. So slowly but surely, y'all know we gonna get things back on regular schedule. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how I just kick videos out on task. So I'm slowly but surely getting down to the process. And I've been covering up a lot of NATO readings and things, and I'm down to like my last one. So matter of fact, yeah. Lewis AMM 5287 at gmail.com. Contact me. I need your date, birth, and location. Your date, the time, and location. Lewis LUISAMM 5287. That's what I see at gmail.com. LUISAMM 5287 at gmail.com. Contact me. You know what I'm saying? Now, getting into this video right now, you know what I'm saying? So I'm slowly but surely getting back to 100%. So, you know, I got a lot of things on my mind that I want to get off to y'all. Now, for the most part, you know, this is an easy and fun way to look at your astrological houses. You know, the 360 is fun to play around. Because you can either look at it like houses, or it depends on your mentality. If you got a low vibrational mentality or things of that nature. And I'm not talking about your living conditions physically. I'm talking about mentally. You could kind of look at the houses as apartments. You know what I'm saying? Or camps. If you rise up a little bit, or you can start to look at them like igloos, or you know what I'm saying, little camps and things of that nature. If you rise in your mentality a little bit, you can look at your astrological houses as houses, you know, but that's more how animals look at the little hunts and stuff and the beaver dams that they make. So, you know, going to the zodiac wheel is just helping you understand your animalistic natures, to help you understand that you're within an animal being, or animal-like being, a kind, before you put man or whatever kind of human or God, whatever, before you put the word before kind. Let's just leave with kind first. So you're in some type of animal kind. So I might as well put that there, since you got the zodiac wheel. So it's teaching you about your animalistic natures. But for the most part, you know, that's how you can look at it as houses. But then once you start to rise to your man consciousness, and y'all want to be human and got this hue and all this shit with y'all and all this other shit that y'all want to agree to the terms and conditions of, then you can start to look at the astrological houses as mansions. You know what I'm saying? Then you start to see them as mansions. But then, you know, you want to rise up in your consciousness a little bit, and then you can start to see these motherfuckers as pyramids and temples and shit like that. You know, temples, because we know the temple is up here, but, you know, up here is your ability to create a temple and to create an external temple, because you created some vessels, some conscious light bodies, aka these vessels and blood vessels and stuff, to be consciously aware and to create your external world, as far as your imagination and your illusion, as far as you getting enticed into your dreams and things of that nature. I feel the energy coming back, y'all. I feel it coming back. But for the most part, yeah, you start to dive into that and shit, right? And once you spark that light, you get enticed by that light. Right? Now that light becomes an imagination and a dream, but for the most part, you want to sustain yourself longer within it. So the longer you vibrate within that frequency, you could create something to be solid. So this is like how your eyes became and things of that nature. And with those, and then you created your brain, and you created those vessels and nerve systems and connections. And those was the brain vessels that we was creating for ourselves, to be aware of ourselves externally, or to create the external world. So basically, we're creating the internal world externally. We're creating the subconscious consciously. So you got the unconscious, subconscious, then the conscious. So the unconscious is something that we all spiritually involved in. So it's all dealing with the frequency, the ideal, the overall concept of what we're all dealing with, based upon the space and location, or what space we was born in, or what spirits we was born from. You see what I'm saying? Now, before we even get physical, then once we get enticed by a light we emit, aka a dream or imagination, and we get that subconsciously based upon our space and location, based upon our state of being and what we resonate with. So we're going to travel in that location based upon resonation. Like, so that automatically would start creating the subconscious realm. So the subconscious realm, we go what we resonate with. We follow our pack. We follow our group. We follow our nature. You see what I'm saying? At that point, our natural, true, selective nature. So For the most part, that's our vibrations. So our vibration is us separating ourselves, becoming a soul, an individual spirit, becoming a vibration, a motherfucker frequency that's vibrating, experiencing, moving through that frequency. You know what I'm saying? So actually traveling through the astral realm that we're creating as far as a vibration. So now that's bouncing back and forth. Us going into the spirit as a soul, but being an individual spirit, that's a soul. So you know what I'm saying? And going back into that frequency, and then once we keep going back in that frequency to being an individual, that caused that vibration. Don't you see me doing it? Your body language and your spirit can't help but to do certain things. That's why you need to understand that world before anything. That's why babies understand the true nature before they start to indulge into the world and lose prospects and aspects based upon who the fuck they get raised by. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying, we get into the circumstance and situation where you need to understand you're creating your bodies and your physical fleshes and your solar system. You created that. Those are your lightest bodies, your lightest fleshly fluids, currents, wheels, chakra wheels. You know what I'm saying? They could just be your fleshly fluids on the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional level. But they're still your light. They're still and you're still creating that. So you can't attach your spirit to that. You need to understand that. You see what I'm saying? So you need to know you're creating everything. So once we get up here, you know this wasn't first. You know the mind and brain wasn't first, because you get you receive a lot of information. Now your senses is you receive. That's the systematic truth of it. So you would be a fool to argue against me, to argue that you're not receiving shit from this area before this area. Before you start to do this and be like, yeah, my mentality, or yeah, this, before you even do that, you got something goes into this area first. I'm scared to even say the heart nowadays, how logical people done got and shit. But you know what I'm saying? For the most part, I can say that. But as far as the chakra wheels in that area, in that sector where we're receiving, like everything is eyes, everything is wheels, everything, all these are just lower density manifestations of forms you was creating for yourselves. And the heavier ones and the lightest ones is your solar system, as you being your space, your spirit. You see what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, you jump into your spirit, right? Now, you jump in it, you creating all your fleshy fluids based upon your state of being, going into a space that probably did that before you, a spirit that did that before you. So they created a bunch of shit before you. So now that's the duality for you. That's when you go into mother. You go into the single-minded, one-dimensional when you and your father. You always coming from the zero-dimensional aspect, no matter where you getting sucked in at, depending on your experience and what realm of reality and dimension you going into. So your spirit, that lets you know off the bat, your spirit ain't got nothing to do with nothing physical. You know what I'm saying? And everything attached to the physical, people think the non-physical ain't got nothing to do with physical. Check this out. Energy itself, period. All that has to do with the creation. That is not the creator. You the creator. Which you are you come from the frequency and then you start to vibrate. That's when you become an individual spirit, an individual space. That is a soul, right? Then once you go back and forth with being an individual and going into the overall space and location that you are in with that overall idea, aka frequency, right? Unconscious, subconscious, frequency, vibration, you know what I'm saying? Spirit, soul, you see what I'm saying? Yang ain't even created yet. Yang is part of the energy, you know what I'm saying? So then you get yang. That's the subconscious. Subconscious is part of the vibration. You the subconscious, your soul, you know, shapeless, formless, smokeless, non-flammable gas, you know what I'm saying? So once you frequency and vibrate, then you can start creating shapes and forms. You create an energy. You create a wave. You create something that can be sensed, something that can be received. You emitted something. So that whole system is the creation of yang. That's the creation yang, because you are the creator. So then you create, and that becomes yang. And that's non-physical to physical. That's all energy. All energy spectrums. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you want to look at light, star, gas, particles, bacteria, anything that can be aware and perceived and put in the pot and be picked up on and added upon, and masculine version, that's yang. That's yang. That's conscious. You know what I'm saying? So everything consciousness, conscious field. We creating all this wave of consciousness, this frequency wave of consciousness. And all of us together create that wave. But we create it in the subconscious. So we're creating the subconscious consciously. And a lot of y'all be scared to go back to the subconscious. So y'all either follow spirits that been in conscious bodies that then try to teach y'all certain things or how to stay in a certain conscious body or a certain yang version or a certain heaven or a certain forever light or a certain forever fire or a certain forever transformation or a certain forever death or a certain forever birth, some type of concept like that got y'all lost. But for the most part, what you need to understand is the contraction is more powerful than the expansion, because the expansion is the yang and all that shit, but the contraction is the subconscious. When you contract out of your motherfucking body and go to your 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional realm, you go to your fucking dream, where in your dream you ain't walking there like you consciously aware of shit. You only go into your motherfucking state of being. So I don't care what kind of illusion you want to lie to yourself when you're woke in the yang conscious realm and saying, motherfucker, I ain't scared of shit, this ain't shit, motherfucker. In your motherfucking true state of being, I don't give a fuck what the fuck you said you wasn't scared of and what you psyched your mind up to be. And when you go to your 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, your fucking being, motherfucker, whatever you scared of is gonna be chasing your ass every night. Almost to the point that when you are in your wake life, you gonna be around people and start to give off impressions to make them think like, damn, why this person is so hard with on that? Why this person on so much on to telling us he not scared or she not scared? Why they so much on doing this? Why they so much on telling us? Why they so much ready to fight us? Why they so, you know what I'm saying? You ever get those friends? Y'all know females, y'all know homeboys out there, y'all get them people that overly try to express something. You can sit back and think like, man, I know this ain't this person. Why they feel like they overly have to prove something? You know what I'm saying? Because you never know when they in they goddamn lonely closet beneath they goddamn self, right? And I'm gonna say beneath they goddamn self, even if you don't think that makes sense. It makes sense in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. Lingo's fucking crazy up there, or down there, or around there. Richard ain't no up and down if y'all want to go get technical with that shit in that realm. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, you need to understand this. When a motherfucker is to their goddamn self, fucking no, their whole world is expanded. Because there's nobody around for them to create cages and firmaments and shit. And blockages to block off what they want to be shown. You know what I'm saying? So you have to keep that in mind. Now, I done got into some whole other shit because I got the guy lit. Let me calm down. Let me get back. Let's go to the astrological houses. Now this is the fun way to look at the astrological houses and shit. I was about to go into something else, y'all. My fucking bad. I'm gonna save that for a whole nother video, because this video is about the astrological houses, but I don't want to make these two separate videos. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, look, this is a fun way how to look at the astrological houses. So check this out. Now look. Now here's what you need to understand. Let's break down the houses first, right? The first house, what does that represent? It represents the personality, personal issues, and affairs. Now, when it comes to each house represents the each area of life. So each area of life. Then it represents each body area also. So each area of life. So each spectrum. So it's actually calculating the space that we are in. So when we think about like the 360 that we are in, which we quote unquote want to call it the 360, and that's what we want to quote unquote equate to the ecliptic. But for the most part, it's not truly a straight sphere. That's what you need to understand also. It's just our way of calculating it because of the dimension that we are in. So based upon the level of life that you are in, that's how you are going to perceive everything, because these are the level of lights and conscious bodies that you have created for yourself in order to be aware of yourself and be aware of the external yang realm that you're creating for yourself that you got. You know what I'm saying? So you're creating a third dimensional body for your spirit to go in to use as a vessel. So you're only going to be aware of third dimensional aspects and senses. So this is the kind of perception that you're going to be able to perceive or receive. Three-dimensional aspects. So everything is going to look like spherical in this kind of realm of reality, and everything that's lower than 3D, you're going to be able to perceive also. So things that's two-dimensional, things that's one-dimensional, you know what I'm saying? All those kind of aspects is going to be able to build up until you get to 3D. Then once you leave 3D, you're going to have to start to get mentally. And then once you start to get into the mental, you can start to understand the fourth dimensional aspects and things of that nature. Like for an example, right? For an example, the square circle does not exist. The square circle does not exist in the third dimension, right? But the square circle does exist in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. And once you understand this aspect, you will understand that actually you motherfuckers is lucky in the third dimension that triangles and squares and shit exist. No, squares, because the triangle really is the only one with the three-sided spectrum. So for the most part, you know, that'd be that was very early conscious that y'all was able to perceive based upon an early alignment, and y'all started developing that conscious and things of that nature. Then it might have been a period of time that it was only three related planets that was real close to here at the time, or a three planetary trine alignment that everybody started getting consciousness aware from, and then the being that y'all was in the developing in the same stage of life that it was in. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, here's what you need to understand why a square circle actually exists. Because a square circle, now they both is a 360 degree circumference, right? It's just what happens here is the circle is the right brain, the square is the left brain. Why is that? Right brain is correlated to more feminine energies, so we know the feminine energy is correlated to you know, more imagination, dream, the subconscious, and you know, it's not exclusive, but it's related. So just because it's related, it is a tool that you can use to take you to your fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional realm, which is your feminine vessels, your feminine light bodies. So the feminine light bodies you will see in the skies, like things like the moon, you know, the moons, Venus, and things of that nature, who carry off those kind of energies. But for the most part, now when we talk about your feminine natures, you know, you can feel when you go in there and start to feel with your emotions, you know what I'm saying, the feminine side. Now feminine, when I say feminine, that's not exclusive to male and female, so understand that also. Now, for the most part, now that'll be the tap you into the subconscious realm. The left body will tap you into the masculine realm. You see what I'm saying? So the left brain, that taps you into the square. The square. So, you know, since you can't really trap a circle, and a circle does all the surrounding, you know what I'm saying? Because the circle is the surrounding, the circumference, the circumstance, the situation. For the most part, this is where you can pull all the dreamers and imagination from, right? But for you to logically see it from your direction or your perception, you know, the yang, the masculine, the left brain is always dealing with pushing out, you know, or if y'all want to deal with the magnetism energy, you know, the receiving aspect of it would be the subconscious, the feminine, and the pushing out would be the spark, the electricity of it. So that would be the yang. So to push out your idea that was coming from within and to make it external for others could be aware of it, or so you can start to manifest it in this realm of reality, right? You have to use your masculine energies. So that'll be your left brain side, right? And this is where all the reptilians and things of that nature may stay at, and things, and when we get to that area. But for the most part, you know, that's when you start to use that portion, and then you push off and you emit and use your masculine bodies. You know, that's like the sun, that's like Jupiter, you know what I'm saying, and to a certain degree. And then for the most part, that's when you start to logically take shape and form as the 360. Now you could draw out the 360, draw lines in it, and take shape and form and construct it and analyze it and make the portal out of it and analyze it, and you know what I'm saying, and weigh it and shape and form it. Now it's in a circumstance, in a situation where it has a point, it has a pointed direction, so that energy has a way to go. That where you pay attention, energy flows. So now it has a direction to go. So now your internal realm has a direction to go. Now depending on where you aimed it, that's up to you and your spiritual nature. Is you aiming that shit in the right place? Is you got aiming it high, aiming it low, aiming it right? Or is you aiming it in the right areas and location? Is you aiming your shit with the right group of people, places, and things? And that's a whole nother video. I can't even get to the houses before I clear this shit. But for the most part, we're going to do that. But like I said, yeah, that's where you direct that motherfucker shit, right? So that becomes the square. That's how the square becomes the left brain, and then the right brain is the round. Now, for the most part, see, you're supposed to bring your right and your left brain together. So in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional realm, that's a square circle. So anytime you bring your imagination, creativity, and your logic and rational side at a 50-50% agreement, at a natural blend, what happens is you get a gray area, and then that's where you get the when you blend both into the middle, and not just your mind, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You blend in the right and the left natures and all your blood cells and all that shit everywhere, in all kind of aspects, and how angles y'all want to look at them. Then once you reach to the center, right? The center, that area right there, that becomes the square circle. And now you truly have power over your realm or your world or your universe or however you want to call it within yourself. And then you become supreme motherfucking creator. Now, but it's a lot of deities that ain't got there first. Now, this is where we start to get into the grays and shit like that, because you got a bunch of left brain or left spectrum of this whole space and location that we are in the first place. That's another video. But you got like a group of reptilians and shit like that having sex and mating with a whole bunch of right brain dark type beings and premortal type beings and shit like that. And then here's where you get the concepts of grays. Yes, I said it. Reptilians get birth the grays, but with a bunch of different other shit and other type of beings that we're gonna get into in other videos also. But just the grays, this is where you get the concept of a gray area. This is where you get the concept of things are just not black and white anymore. You know what I'm saying? This is where you have to pick and choose now. You have to justify. You know what I'm saying? You may have to justify your morality from time to time. You may have to justify your living conditions from time to time. You may have to justify your habits from time to time. You may have to justify your spirituality or your religious thinking certifications from time to time. You know what I'm saying? This is where that gray area come from. You know what I'm saying? So this is where the gray beings or the gray aliens, where y'all want to, this is where that's derived from. Now y'all want to call it alien and then it get lost into indoctrinations and things of that nature. But for the most part, don't get lost in words. Start to understand where the fuck is that energy coming from in the first place, and then why is that word being attached to that energy signature. Then you will see if the word matters or none, and then you will see how much the word matters, and then you'll be able to see the energy signature of it itself, and then you'll be able to see how long that energy been here, and what beings was participating in that energy, and what beings was manipulating that energy, what beings was utilizing that energy to wake people up, what beings was coming to crash shit with that energy. And you're gonna be able to separate the energy from the deities, and then you're going to be able to see that energy for yourself and be able to utilize it for good or bad or whatever that you're doing or whatever path that you're on. But for the most part, you know, that's when you start to get in deep into the fourth and fifth and sixth dimensional aspects and levels and things of that nature, which that is another video. But, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't even get to the goddamn houses of this shit like that. I'm just glad to feel a little bit alright. You know what I'm saying? I ain't 100% yet, but you know, I gotta come back for y'all motherfuckers in this motherfucker. Like I said, once again, Louise, AMM5287 at gmail.com. Email me so we can get that squared away. But I'm about to do a video on the motherfucking houses. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air.